Hi guys, this is going to be Casey's story. Today was a rough day, and I guess I just want to put this out there, and maybe I'll get some advice, or someone will see this that's been through something similar, and they'll be able to tell me what their story was. So long story short, Casey was normal pregnancy for the most part. My husband did lose his job when I was about 4 or 5 months pregnant. At the time, I had like a mini anxiety attack, and I was put on Zoloft. The doctor at the time said, outweighing the pros and the cons of it, I think in your current state you need to be on this. So I was on it for about a month until, the dust settled and we figured out how we were going to handle things, and I just kind of, I kind of calmed down a little bit. And his pregnancy was just very high stress with my husband losing his job, trying to find another job, whatever. He came normal. He was induced at 38 weeks because he kept trying to come early. So finally the doctor said, enough is enough. We need to take the baby because it's not good for you and it's not good for him to have all these contractions that aren't doing anything to your body, but it's stressing him out, and, it's not good for you and for your other kids. So they went ahead and took him. He was a perfectly healthy baby boy. He nursed fine. He was a good baby. He was a happy baby. He was a chubby baby. He was just perfect. Me, I made the mistake with Aubrey. I waited too late to give her a bottle, so I never got to get away from her. She was every 3 hours. I had her all the time, and it was stressful for me. Always having to deal with her and never being able to leave her. So I said with Casey, I wanted to be able to leave him a little bit, so I wanted to pump and give him bottles. Well, pumping ended up giving him a little bit of formula here and there, and then me selfishly wanting to just give up because I was having a rough, day, because Jeff was working very long hours. Jeff was gone from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, 6 days a week, because it's what we had to do to make bills at that time because he had taken a crappy job. So he was supplemented, a little bit with formula here and there, and then finally in June, when he was, 9 months, I switched him over to formula. Around 12 to 18 months, it was around Christmas time, we started noticing Casey would just kind of blank stare. Casey wouldn't smile. Casey wouldn't interact with the other kids. Casey just kind of, something happened. So we just tried, and, he would break down. He had no coping skills whatsoever. He just sat there. So we started, and he had horrible diaper rash. We couldn't figure it out. So through a few, me fighting with my doctor, we finally said, okay, we're going to take him to a GI. The GI said he believed that he had a dairy intolerance, a soy intolerance, maybe a gluten intolerance, and that we needed to take all these things away as much as possible. So we put him on almond milk, and we really tried to cut gluten out completely. And then once everything was cut out for about a few months, then we decided to slowly add things in. We found out it wasn't gluten. Gluten really didn't bother him. If he has a lot of gluten, then he'll throw up. But it wasn't like, he needed an EpiPen or anything like that. So we figured we would just do a little bit of gluten. Dairy, to this day, still can't take dairy. We still try to, challenge him is what they say. And we still can't get him to take dairy. Unless it's cooked into something, but him having a glass of milk, him having yogurt, things like that, instantly messes up with his stomach. And then soy, it's kind of the same thing as gluten. We just kind of avoid it because it's just one of those iffy things. But with his diet, we noticed Casey started to come back a little. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't, normal, but he was better. So around this time, I had gotten pregnant with Ellie. So we decided, okay, enough is enough. The kid's not talking. He's still drooling. He's still not interacting with other kids. He has no coping skills whatsoever. I'm going to finally bite the bullet and call early intervention. So I called early intervention, and then I got a call from my doctor saying, why are you doing this without me? And at the time I was pissed because I had to do everything for Casey. I had to call GI. I had to say something was wrong. I had to realize he wasn't walking. He wasn't crawling. All these things that just wasn't happening. So we had early intervention come out here, and I was thinking they were just going to say, oh, he needs a little bit of speech, he can't talk, whatever. Well, long story short, turns out he has low tone overall in his body, especially in his mouth and in his core. That's why he couldn't talk. He had no hearing in one ear. He had complete fluid in it. He had, because of his low tone and the way his mouth sat, he had a mouth of like a newborn. His mouth wasn't formed, so that's why his tongue was always hanging out. He was always drooling, all these things. So we went to see a GI, we got his ears fixed, we got everything fixed, and we slowly started working on his speech. But then it came the fact of having someone here. She said, there's something else going on. There's something else here. Come to find out he had sensory processing disorder. They don't want to diagnose him, but he has sensory. So maybe he didn't want to, maybe I didn't want to, because I didn't want him stuck with this label and having to fight it, for years and years in school. It's a lot harder to get a label off than it is to get it on. So because I had waited so long, Casey really only had from like that summer till that fall with the early intervention people, and then we found out he had to go to school. First day of school was the day after his birthday, so he turned 3 on October 1st. He went to school October 2nd. I had Ellie October 4th, so he missed that day, and then he had to go back, the following time when I had Ellie. It was horrible. He cried. He reached for me. He didn't want to go. He cried every time I got into the parking lot to drop him off, made excuses that he had to go to the bathroom, whatever. Well, throughout the year last year, it got a little bit better. He had one teacher, Miss Jen, that he really did well with. He still doesn't talk in school. He doesn't make eye contact in school. He doesn't play with the kids in school. However, he will, do the things they're doing. He will color at a table with kids now. He would, go down the slide with kids now. If they're at the playground, all the kids are playing, he's standing there. So it seemed to me that it was more than just sensory. Why would a child not want to play? He has just such a fear of children, of unfamiliarity, of just so many things. So took the summer off. Just brought him back to his meet the teacher today. We found out Miss Jen is no longer in his classroom. The two teachers that are there, I just don't feel are a good fit for Casey. I don't feel that they push Casey the way that Casey needs to be pushed. I don't feel like they get on Casey's level the way that he needs to be. They're just not good for Casey. They're great teachers, just not good for Casey. So I was upset. As soon as we start walking down the hallway, he starts to run back. So I grab his hand, and I'm holding Ellie. So thankfully Jeff was with me today, and he could hold Ellie for me, and I pulled him in. As soon as we get to the classroom, he won't let me put him down. So I'm, of course, trying to fight tears, but not letting anyone see this, because I don't want people to see, this woman that's just so weak that just can't handle anything. So finally I get him to go down. Jeff said he wants to take over. Jeff takes over, and he gets them to play, in areas with the kids. As soon as we walk away, he's right there with us. Just will not interact with the kids. All the teachers are talking to him, and, he's not responding. And I have one of the teachers say, oh, we're going to deal with this again this year. Well, yes, you're going to deal with this again this year. This is your job, is to get him to speak. Your job is to get him to interact with other children, with other adults, with just everyone. And it's just so frustrating to me that she says these things. It just, obviously I'm pissed off about it. So as I'm sitting in the classroom, I'm realizing, crap, Miss Jen's not here. There's a new teacher here. Now I have these two teachers I have to deal with. He's not doing good. It was sad because he woke up this morning at 6:30. Let's go to school. Let's get ready to school. He was so excited, and then we get there and he just completely shuts down. So I'm at the point now where I think, yes, he does have sensory. He does have speech issues. He does have low tone. He does have all these things he does need a therapist for. However, there's some sort of social anxiety, social something going on here, and I can't figure it out. And I want him better. My number one goal with all of this was to get Casey to go to school in a normal kindergarten, just like the other kids did. However, I don't see that happening. He has 2 more years of preschool, thank God, because of his birthday, but he's just not making progress. I see so many kids, via YouTube videos, via just out, that just are getting better. They may not always have eye contact, but they have it sometimes. But he just completely shuts down when he's not with his siblings. When he's with his siblings at home, he's like a totally different person, but he can't be with his siblings at school. You know what I mean? So what do I do now? I came home and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and it's just so hard fighting for someone. And I always look back because I've done a little bit of research and I feel like me being on the Zoloft did something, or I had to have done something. Maybe I didn't hold him enough. Maybe I didn't, I had two other kids at the time. Like, it was hard. I just don't know how I can fix him. And it's so hard. It's so hard every day seeing a child struggle so much like he does, because he's just so sweet and so funny, and he's just this, oh my god, when I have him, just me and him together, and I really get him one-on-one and hear all the funny things he says, and he's just such a peach. He's just so funny, and to see him struggle so much and not be able to figure it out. But I think we're going to try diet, because I've seen so many people with children with sensory and autism and Asperger's and whatever. They all do a lot with diet, so I'm hoping that'll help. But I mean, how do I even find out if a child has some sort of social anxiety? The way he gets strep and ear infections all the time, and we just had his ears fill back up again, and now we have him back on a nose spray. It's like that he has something called Pandas that I've heard about. There's just so many things, and I feel like with my doctor, she's just not well versed on these children that need a little bit more, and I feel like I constantly have to do the research. And what if I'm missing something? What if there's something that's so easy that could have been fixed all along that I'm just missing? So it's hard. It's really hard being a mom of a child with, that's not a normal, typical child, especially when you have two kids that are that way. So you think, did I do something wrong? Was it something, that we did? Was it something that we did or didn't do? Like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. But if anyone has advice, if anyone sees this that's been through a similar story, even if you just share your story, sometimes it just makes a mom feel so much more at ease, because I don't know what to do anymore. He's going to be 4 soon, and we're going to be starting kindergarten in 2 years, and I need to get him where he needs to be. I want him to go to school. Right now, I could never put him on a bus and put him in a school and have him walk to a classroom. It just wouldn't happen. So I guess I just needed a little vent, a little getting it off my chest, and sorry to cry, but I'm human. But I don't know. If you have advice, just let me know. Sorry this is long-winded. It's already 12 minutes long, but thanks for watching, and just let me know.